My name is Dennis. I'm from Nigeria, West Africa, and I worked as the community mobilization officer for the LGBT community in Nigeria, especially in the northern part of Nigeria that is dominated by the Muslims. In Nigeria, we have both the Muslims and the Christians, and the only time these two groups agree is when you talk about LGBT-related issues. For them, they feel that this group are evil and they need to kill them. So working with the community was like a very difficult challenge for me, because at the point in time, I couldn't even tell my family members I worked with the LGBT community. I told them I just do some kind of volunteering work with the US Embassy. But it got to a point whereby people got to know my job and information was spread around. And at the point, I was arrested by the police, saying that they heard this is what I do. They learned that I go out to different parts of Nigeria to make people to become gay. And I was like, okay. So when I was taken to the station, I was tortured for 4 days without food and water. And I wasn't allowed to call anybody. I wasn't allowed to do anything. So at the end of the day, Nigeria is a place whereby you can get your way around things due to some level of corruption and stuff like that. I was able to speak to the police officer who was in charge. So I was able to give him some money, and he allowed me to go without allowing his other colleagues to know that I left detention. So I moved from the western part of Nigeria to the northern part of Nigeria, where we have the Muslims. So under the Sharia, they believe that anybody who is found practicing sodomy should be stoned to death. And I was open in Nigeria as a gay man, and I was also working for the LGBT community. So I was getting some kind of funny calls from the Sharia Commission saying that I came to the north with my Western culture to spoil their kids and stuff like that. Getting that calls, then I knew this is real business, and I knew that the Sharia will not stop until they get whatever they want. So then the option of leaving the country came to my mind. Because of my work, sometimes I attend conferences, and I was in the United States in 2012 for the International AIDS Conference, and I had a 2 years visiting visa. With that visa, I was able to move to the United States. But there are other people back home who couldn't get the opportunity to leave the country. So they had no choice than to face whatever challenge or whatever torture that comes to them. And we've lost a lot of people to these attacks and stuff like that. Everybody knows about the bill in Nigeria, which talks about 14 years jail time for a gay person. Blackmail is the order of the day. People saying, if you don't give me this amount of money, I'm going to report you, you know. So getting to the United States, for me, was a difficult task because, one, it was like an immediate decision I made, and at that time, I didn't have savings, and I was out of job. I couldn't apply for any job in Nigeria because the experience I had was working with the LGBT community. And I won't tell a bank or tell other corporate bodies that I've worked with the LGBT community. Then I'm like exposing myself the more, you know. So I needed to like gather funds from friends, and which enabled me to get to the United States. Then one thing that came to my attention was, okay, I'm coming to the United States. I know I don't know anybody. Where am I going to stay? How will I survive? And thank God for social network. You know, I went on Facebook to do some hookups, and I met people in Chicago, New York. So my first arrival was in New York, and I was in New York for some weeks. And at that point, I was thinking of what am I to do? I can't walk, I can't do anything. And, you know, people told me about seeking asylum. So I was linked to the National Immigration Justice Center of Heartland Alliance. I was also linked to the LGBT Support Task Force in Worcester. Then I was linked with some lawyers in New York. So since I was in New York, I contacted the lawyers, and unfortunately for me, they were not pro bono lawyers. So when I met them, I was charged $4,000. And I was like, wow, I only came to this country with about $200. So how will I get $4,000 to file for my case? Then I contacted the National Immigration Justice Center, and they were willing to take my case if I moved to Chicago. So I went to Chicago by train. I spent about 20 hours, and when I was leaving I've heard about the weather situation in Chicago, and I was coming from a place where we don't even get this cold in Nigeria, you know. So I knew I needed to protect my life. I knew I needed to be safe, so I didn't think about the weather, and I went to Chicago. So I went to the Immigration Justice Center, and they told me the process of filing asylum. You know, getting a lawyer is another long process, and after you get the lawyer still needs enough time to gather enough information. You know, and one of the information they wanted from me was if I could get a police report, and I was like, how will I tell them to give me a report for that? That it would not be possible. So that was one challenge. Another challenge was, you know, I have to wait before I could start working. So Survivor in Chicago became a question for me. But the good thing is that I, you know, met some people who have been supporting me in ways I've been surviving there.
Thank you, Dennis.